Hello and welcome back, everyone, to the latest episode of the Tea Break, where we discuss everything cricket over, yes, a cup of tea. And yeah, today what we're going to talk about is the game between India and England, which finished yesterday. I didn't record this yesterday for a specific purpose because I always like to take one day between reviewing a game because it just gives me that time to think and not sort of react immediately uh, to what I've seen in the game, which was of course India losing and losing in style. Let's say that was quite a heavy defeat. So what I'd like to talk to you about today is what I thought went right for England, went wrong for India, and some positives for India from the game as well. Because of course, end of the day, even if you lose, there is a lot to learn, and there is a lot to take into the next game, which is also in the same venue in Chennai. It starts on Saturday, so yeah. So let's start with England. I mean, the very obvious positive is Joe Root. Both his batting and his captaincy were exceptionally good. His batting was just, he was batting on a different pitch. I thought, I mean, the first 2 days it was a different pitch because it was super flat, like all Indian pitches, but this one just didn't do anything, didn't offer any assistance. And Joe Root batted like a dream, scored a wonderful double hundred, and set the game up for England. I thought Ben Stokes played extremely well as well. He attacked Nadeem, who was very poor, and basically that partnership between Root and Stokes made sure that England would not lose the game at that point. A special mention to Sibley, who really who had a lot of guts and just played and played and played the Pujara role that Pujara couldn't actually play on this pitch. He got out, unfortunately. But the way these three batters played, they set the game up perfectly for England. What went wrong for India in the first innings was obviously the lack of partnership. 73 for 4, uh, looking at a score of over 550 is pretty much you're done, right? You're staring down the barrel. Nobody's going to come back from that. But I think we did fight back quite well with Rishabh Pant, who blazes away as usual whenever he comes in, and Washington Sundar, who, as I've mentioned in my previous videos as well, is a batsman who can bowl a bit. So I don't think he should play the next game, but we'll come to that. Come to that soon. Sorry, just taking a sip of tea. Um, yeah. So in terms of negatives for India, I think one was I thought the selection was wrong in the first place. Nadeem should not have been picked. I know Kohli talked about the variety of the ball turning in and going out, but the variety is also in finger spin versus wrist spin, right? I mean, Kuldeep, I don't think I just don't think they rate him that high. I hope he plays the next game, but if he does, I think he'll do extremely well, and he'll take a lot of wickets in this series if he plays. But Nadeem just was a big disappointment after over 115 first class games and over 400 first class wickets to not be able to do well on a pitch uh, is is quite disappointing. And the first innings, his job was to essentially control the game, just to keep one end tight, one end held up, exactly what Jadeja does. But I mean, Jadeja is Jadeja because he is that good. So I wouldn't have expected Nadeem to be that good, but at least hold up one end, which he wasn't able to do, and that was a big negative. A couple of other negatives for me, I thought, were one was Rahane's form. It has dipped again post Melbourne. He has been very inconsistent as a player. You know he's a great, very likable character. He's a great captain, but as a batsman, I think he's not lived up to his expectations or to his potential over the last few years. Kohli mentioned him as an impact player, but I think when you bat at number five, much like we criticized Matthew Wade for having a lower average, it's the same with Rahane. When you bat at that number, your average has to be much higher. Your average has to be touching 50 in the subcontinent, which it's not for Rahane. And the third disappointing fact for India, I think, was Rohit Sharma, who in both the innings really didn't look the part. He started off with like a big six in the second innings and a streaky boundary, but again got bowled by the off spinning delivery. So again, I think something that we need to look at, not because of his talent or his ability, but because of Mayank Agarwal, who India dropped after him scoring tons of runs, right? So I think Rohit Sharma needs to up his game. I'm sure he will in the next Test match. The positives that we can take from it, obviously, Virat Kohli getting back into the runs. The biggest positive I thought, however, was the intensity in the second innings. In the second innings, we were up for that fight. We knew that we were in trouble and we need to sort of fight back. But that fight needs to come from the first innings itself, and I'm sure that that's something that's going to happen uh, very soon in the starting on Saturday. I hope we win the toss and get to bat first, and then put up a large total. But if we don't, I think I'll be very surprised not to see that fight in the first innings. And I think in terms of where we go from here, and the pitch is going to be much more spicier. I'm sure they're not going to create another highway for the first 2 or 3 days. It just is not going to, it's not going to work like that. Uh, in terms of batting, if we put up a big score, I think our bowling is going to be good enough to get this England lineup out. You get Joe Root out, and I don't think they have too much firepower after that, other than Ben Stokes. Josh Butler is going back home after this test, so that's a big advantage for us. And in terms of England, what they need to do is just do the same. Really, I mean, I think they will pick Moeen Ali ahead of Bess for the next test. It's very likely because Bess is he got lucky. We gave him the wickets. Otherwise, I don't think he's a good spinner at all. He's not developed well enough at all. He's going to get better, obviously, but as of now, I think we can really dominate Dom Bess if he plays in the next Test match, and we should be just looking to absolutely dominate him in the next game. So I think they might play Moeen Ali before Dom Bess, which I think will be a very good move for England. And in terms of fast bowling, a salute to Jimmy Anderson at the sheer longevity of his career, and then picking up so many wickets for England in both subcontinental conditions as well as in their home conditions is fantastic, and I think he should play the whole series. It's great to watch him bowl. It's great to watch his mastery and artistry in play. So I hope that he does play the entire series. So I think, and that's it really for England. That's going to be the key again. Is going to be their fast bowling and Joe Root. If we can counter these two, I think the rest for us should not be that difficult to counter at all. And the next test starts on Saturday morning. I'll be definitely watching it. I hope you will be too. If you watch this video, if you have other comments to make in terms of what you think about the game, what you like, what you don't like about the game that happened in Chennai, please put it in the comments, and we shall meet again. I think tomorrow I might do one around the general health of Test cricket, but if not, we'll catch up on the first day or after the first day of the next test starting Saturday. Thank you and goodbye.